Hello, my name is Beth MacDonald Stone, and I'm an avid knitter and knitwear designer coming to you from Bermuda. We're having an exciting time in Bermuda right now. Hurricane Humberto has just basically passed us, and Hurricane Imelda, which I always think of Imelda Marcos in her shoes. So Hurricane Imelda maybe will be coming in the next day or so, shortly after. The Luna's right there, and we're all ready for it. So welcome to my kitchen with all of my plants and all of my outdoor furniture. It's kind of fun. I kind of love having my kitchen as sort of an overwhelming uh, nursery garden room. Um, yeah, it is what it is. And then we've got all the water bottles behind, all filled up with water, and bucket full of water for dipping. And yeah, we're ready to go. So I wanted to get in this episode before anything happens and prevents me from getting it. So here we are today. And what was I going to say? This is my second take because I recorded one. It was a bit fun. It was fresh. It was the first time I did this. So this is my second time doing this. It didn't save, or when I went to look back at the recording, there was nothing. It was empty. So I'm going to do this in parts so that if for some reason there's something about maybe storage space on my computer, then I haven't lost another 45 minutes worth of work. So here we go. So this will be the first little section, which will mean nothing to you. Anyways, it's more just my own mental remembering to do that. Yeah, so welcome to my kitchen. I hope you like my plants. Anyways, what I am wearing and the featured pattern. I am wearing another summer tee because it's still quite warm, although with the winds and everything, there's some nice cool breezes coming through. But anyways, this is the Get Out of the Pool tee. The design concept is to really enhance hand-dyed yarn. I love hand-dyed yarn. I love pooling, but I don't like when pooling happens. It's between rain showers, and so Luna wanted out. When I last recorded, it was raining and everything, and Luna was in her bed right there, sound asleep. So I hope this just might be a bit of a debacle. But anyways, whatever debacles, we can handle them. Handle anything. Anyways, so Get Out of the Pool tee. It's great because it's to enhance hand-dyed yarns. I love hand-dyed yarns. I think the colors and everything are just so dreamy and fabulous, and how they play together is amazing. What I sometimes struggle with, sometimes I think it looks cool, but sometimes it bothers me when hand-dyed yarns pool in different ways throughout a sweater, because of course, or a garment. You know, you usually, with top-down sweaters, you cast it on the top, and then it grows in width, and then you put the stitches on hold for the sleeves, and then it narrows in width for the body, potentially, and then the sleeves are narrower too. And so the pooling happens irregularly throughout. So the concept of this tee is that the pooling happens regularly throughout because all the widths that you're knitting are equal in size. And so it's knit flat, so front, back, and then you put the sleeves on. So every width of the yarn or of the garment, the knitted garment, is basically within a few stitches the same. So that allows for pooling to be consistent throughout. It's a boxy sweater. I think that's really flattering. And the sleeves, basically, if you were to lay this flat, it would be the same width approximately as the body itself, which means that it's a bit of a drop, like an open sleeve here, which I think is really cool and is good for ventilation. Yeah. And I think the great thing is like I just showed you, and I'll stand straight here. The pooling is consistent, and that's the whole point. So this one is the fingering weight version. There's also a DK weight version, and I'm just looking. Luna's fine. There's a DK weight version. I'll have them as the featured pattern for this week. So the offer will be 20% off, no coupon required, but the offer will happen until October 10th. I'm using here La Bien Aimee Twist Nouveau, color Pop Grunge. Yeah. And that's kind of all that I wanted to say about that. But I am really wearing it because it highlights a new skirt that I just sewed. And that's why I'm wearing it, because I'm really excited. This summer in New York, I took a sewing class, and I have since been sewing up skirts. And so this is my latest one. I love it. The fabric is a linen gauze from Blackbird Fibers, I think in Canada. Great company. It got here super quickly. And I love it. So that's the skirt. It's really fun. It was a really easy sew. And let me just, so yes, it was a really easy sew, great pockets. There's like 4 panels and the pockets are made from folding the fabrics. Luna, do you like it? Is it good? She helped me make it on Saturday. Saturdays are for sewing, I'm finding. Totally by accident, but it's kind of sticking and I like it. Yeah, okay. And you like it too. Okay. Yeah, so that was really fun. And so the pattern that I used is the Peppermint and Paper Theory skirt. It's written below. I thought it was a really great pattern. I thought it was very manageable. And the reason I found it really manageable is because also I'm not at the stage of sewing that I can understand how the instructions are getting you from one stage to the next and the finished. I can't quite visualize that yet. I'm still quite a newbie. So that's why I think the online patterns are amazing, because they're seemingly so popular that if you look on YouTube, you can find tutorials. And that is amazing. So on Friday, before I sewed this skirt, so last Friday, I watched 2 10-minute tutorials on how someone made that. Two different people made this skirt. And again, Peppermint Paper Theory skirt. I don't even remember if I paid for the patent. I think it kind of came with like signing up for subscribing to online pattern company. Anyways, I have a little collection right now and I'm going to go through them as I am inspired with fabrics. But yeah, so it was a great pattern, really easy. I sent the PDF to Bermuda Blueprinting, which is where architects in my former life, we would send things to get printed on the big 36 by whatever, 48 or whatever paper. Sent it there, bought tracing paper there, and yeah, amazing. So that plus watching the videos really helped. I was listening to a podcast on knitting recently, and a new knitter was saying, I love knitting, but I find following a pattern really confusing, like really overwhelming. And as a more confident knitter, sorry, I've got a bit of an ear infection. As a more confident, okay, Looney, go lie down again. As a more confident knitter, I don't feel that with knitting, but I totally feel that with sewing. Totally, totally, totally. And so really understood where that person was coming from. And so, yeah, so even a very simple sewing pattern like this skirt in just the bare pattern paper form, I was totally overwhelmed. But as soon as I watched the videos of just these 2 different people putting this skirt together, and they'd already cut it out, so it's just putting the pieces together and how it worked out, I could then visualize what each step in the process was meant to do and how it was going to get you to the next step, which would get you to the finished product. And it's still a very simple pattern. It's very beginner friendly, but it's that extra hand holding that we're so lucky these days. And that's what I found really wonderful. And I think will be a great learning tool for this. If you watch, Gudrun Johnson has a great podcast, and she recently uploaded an episode with the Colorado knitter Mari and Edmundston Creates. I can't remember her name, sorry. They just did it. They're avid sewers as well as knitters. Gudrun Johnson, well, they all are really good knitters. Definitely watch their podcasts or their YouTube channels. But in Gudrun Johnson's recent YouTube channel, they talk about their new interest in sewing, or they're relatively new, and what pattern companies they like, and with, tips and tricks and stuff. And I learned so much. And that's where I kind of got the confidence, or even the idea that I could go on YouTube and find information. Right, Luna? Are you gonna go lie on your bed? Are you gonna go lie down on your bed? Anyways, that's where I got the information or the idea or the knowledge that YouTube would even have. YouTube has everything, but you just I forget to even look, and YouTube would have the information that you need. What can I do for you? I'm not gonna sit and rub you for this whole episode, because you can go and have a nap. Okay, go lie down. Nope, we're done. All done. All done. All done. Okay, go do something. Go do something. All right. So yeah, so that was really great. I really enjoyed it. I'm really enjoying sewing. And I'm enjoying my Saturday sewings. Really fun. So it's neat to um, it's really fun to make skirts. I love skirts. It's really fun to make skirts to coordinate with all my lovely sweaters. And that's just really makes me happy and excited. And the skirts are totally not perfect. And if you look closely at some of the seams, they're a bit wonky, or the hem of the skirt's a little bit wonky, but who cares? And no one should be really looking at me and my hem that closely. And between my tummy and my derriere, I don't think you can tell that the hem is actually not straight. So, and if you can, don't tell me. So yeah, so sewing's been really fun. I'm gonna do more and more of that. I've got more fabric coming. We have a sewing shop here in Bermuda that is quite good, really good. But the fabrics are a bit limited. I found some fabrics. Gosh, my ear is really. The I've sorry. They've got some fabrics which I bought, and I think last week I showed you a plaid skirt that I had, a wool plaid skirt that I had made, sewed. But it's really limited. And so, I'm dabbling online, and thanks to YouTube, like, Andrea Mowry, I've written down some notes from her, some tips. And then, like I said, this last one on the Gudrun Johnson's channel, I'm learning lots and having so much fun. So that's that. So between the get out of the pool and my fun peppermint paper theory skirt, I'm a happy camper in a Me Made outfit. What am I working on? It still looks like it's recording, so I'll do a bit of that, and then I might stop it. Oh, Luna's lying down. Hopefully she stays. Fingers crossed. So the first thing that I've been working on, and I think I showed this to you a little bit before in the last episode, is the Ride the Wave tee. This is my second version of it. The first version, if you remember, it was lavender and sort of a very rich blue. So two kind of tonal yarns, where I also wanted to do another version with a gradient yarn. So I've done a gradient yarn here, which is Spincyce, my new love. And I've switched the placement of the Spincyce slightly to highlight it and keep the more tonal yarn as the workhorse in behind. When the pattern comes out in November, there'll be instructions for color placement for both. But I'm really thrilled with this. I think Spincyce is really interesting, and it's a new love. I was really kind of reluctant for many, many years, I'll be honest. But what I really like is they take me out of my comfort zone for colors. So this main yarn here, yeah, we're onto yarn, not sewing, is from, I bought it when I was traveling with my family to Hill Country Weavers. If you're ever in Texas, and I can't remember where it was in Texas, we stopped there on sort of a car trip, so I can't remember where it was. Probably between Austin and Dallas, or really don't know. Anyways, I bought this there. It really jumped off the shelves at me, because if you can see here, there is so much interesting tonal colors, like glazing in this yarn. So it's definitely a coral color. If you look back here, it looks coral, but up close you can see lavenders and deeper oranges and terracottas and pinks and everything like that. And I thought that was stunning. So when I had this Spincyce, so this is, I should say, this is Laneras Secretos color Hanalei Sunset. And it to me is totally the colors of sunsets. And I'm sure, I think Hanalei is in Hawaii, and I'm sure those deep, deep, deep pinky oranges are in their sunsets. We have them here too. But when I saw the Rosy Maple Spincyce dyed in the wool in the skein, I thought, oh my God, they're amazing together. Loved it. Then I wound the skein up and I realized all the different colors that were in that skein, and I thought, oh boy, I am not too sure, because there was everything from orange and black to purple to more orange and black and lavenders and reds and navies and blacks, and you didn't really see all of that in the skein. And I thought, trust Spincyce, trust the colors, and I'm so glad I did. And that's the thing. Spincyce pushes me way out of my color comfort zone, and it's what, in my mind, makes it so exciting in a finished item. And I think that is spectacular. Spectacular. So this is a top-down boxy sweater construction with sort of saddle shoulders, I guess you would say, or just basically contiguous shoulder shaping. It will have sleeves. I've got to pick up and do that. That's next on my list, and I really want to pick up and do that today. You put on the collar afterwards. I haven't blocked it at all. I've just steamed it a bit just so that it didn't have the real strong ripples that you get from when you're working lace. And so of course it's got a little bit of a lump here in the back, but that'll all come out with blocking. And I'm really excited about that. So the magic of color, that's what this is all about for me. And I'm really excited about it. And I think it'll be spectacular to wear. Is there anything else I wanted to talk about that? But I don't think so, but gosh, like who would have thought like those are some harsh colors, but all back. And it looks so interesting. And that is magic. So that's great. So this is a pattern that is in testing right now and will be coming out in the end of November. Yes, the end of November. So stay tuned to that. It's in testing now. Nothing more to happen other than let the other knitters beaver away at coming up with their own beautiful versions and, seeing if they have any comments or confusion with my notes. It can happen for sure. And I'm so grateful for all their thoughts and input. Really, really great. It does take a lot. And I kind of am laughing in my head because yesterday when we were doing all this prep work, I was trying to get out that test knit and I totally made up mistakes on the email. And so that was because we were getting ready for these hurricanes and, in-laws were calling, asking for help. And, it's just the usual kind of help was required and kind of a bit of excitement before the preparations and everything like that. And when I'm distracted, I make mistakes. Anyways, it just really shows I need test editors. I need tech editors. I try to communicate one thing and it comes out totally differently or I overlook something completely. So thank goodness for test editors. And so it takes time and I'm grateful for it. So that's the first whip. The second whip, oh, this is so much fun. This is my very indulgent whip. This I had bought yarn for a long time ago at Vogue Knitting, and this is the Laneras Secretos or Lynette Porcelain Sweater. Now I bought yarn for this, I think 2 years ago, or I had partially enough yarn and then I bought more yarn for it at Vogue Knitting. I love, love, love this yarn. This yarn is so special. It's such a dream to work with, and it is from Port Fiber Yarns in Maine, and they sell this yarn called Cashmere People Yarns Kashgora Sport, and it's all hand spun by lovely ladies in, where are they? I do know, Tajikistan. So and on each label, it'll say who actually spun your yarn. Yeah, I think there's 3 spinners that I found. Yeah, so 3 different ladies spun the yarn that I'm working with right now. But it's the softest, lightest, dreamiest yarn to work with. It is a total splurge. Worth it. I have 2 other sweaters knit with it. One of my designs, Glimmer View, I did my more elevated version knitting with this, held with a Shibui silk mohair. Amazing, to die for. And a Caitlin Hunter color work that I did a couple years ago too. But this blue I saw 2 years ago, and it just was the most spectacular blue, I thought. So the blue is called Panj, P-A-N-J, right up here, P-A-N-J. And the natural white is called Pamir, P-A-M-I-R-S. And this is just dreamy on my needles. So really wonderful. The pattern's beautifully written, and if there's any confusion, Laneras Secretos also has a great website. It is largely in Danish, but you can switch it to English. But in each pattern, you can see video links that will help answer any questions And I've used that because I just, especially for picking up for the front, like you knit the back and then you pick up the front here and then you work down. But her instruction like was saying pick up with the tail and work down, and I didn't really understand. Saw the video, no problem. The video is in Danish, but you don't need to understand what she's saying. It's not important. You just see what's happening and it totally makes sense. So can't recommend this enough. I was really pushed to put this on my needles because I love her new one with the rose sweater, and I don't want to start that. I think I can cobble together what I want to knit that with stash, but I don't want to start that until this one's done because they're both spectacular, and I don't want to get ahead of my skis on those. So that's that. So that's the porcelain sweater. And I'm just going to pause this and make sure that it's saving, and then we'll go on to the third one in just a sec. One sec here. Okay, it seems to be working. And I had a sip of tea because I've talked too much, because I've done this twice. That's okay. It's nice to be with you. So the other whip is a bit of a surprise whip, and I had no plans for this, but my dear friend Priscilla, who I'm sure you've heard me talk about before, she is in Europe. So she's in sort of London and France, and she's around, and she gets around to the different sort of interesting yarny events in that part of the world, and it's great. So I get to hear a lot about it from her. But recently she found this amazing yarn called Pure Manx, and it's Manx, which is a style of sheep or a breed of sheep. It's very ancient, and according to the label here, the band, it says, "From the sheep the Vikings left behind." And it is a lovely yarn. It's very rustic. It's very similar-ish, and it knits at a similar gauge to Iztec's Letlopi. The color here, this is natural. This is the sheep's color. What a gorgeous chestnut. I'm not a huge brown wearer, especially since I've gone very gray. I used to wear a lot of brown when I was a blonde. It used to be my sort of base color, but I'm a little bit paler up top. But can you imagine having this as your natural hair color? Well, fur. But stunning, 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 stunning. So this arrived, and I knew, you could just tell, it's special. So I quickly was going through Ravelry, knit up a swatch, figured out basically I like a 16 stitch gauge 16 stitch gauge, and looked at Ravelry. There's so many great designs. It's not that I was not, it's not like I couldn't find anything. There's so many great designs on Ravelry, but I had a feeling in my mind. And so I went onto Pinterest because I knew I needed to sort of articulate this feeling or visualize it a little bit further. And I'm so glad I did, because I kept on landing on Pinterest sort of very interestingly styled or shaped yokes with ribbing, really interesting, like modern in the shoulders ribbing. And then I was starting to think that I wanted it sort of boxier through the body. So fitted in the shoulders, boxier in the body. I wanted it to be rustic looking. I was thinking cables, but then I thought it would look too bulky and it wouldn't give that sort of chic, rustic, hip, modern look without being too bulky, where I feel like cables right now, I think I'm craving more cables to kind of drapier fabric, but whatever. You can tell that nothing is set in stone with what my likes and dislikes. It's all whatever. And so I started looking and looking, and I was saving certain knits onto Pinterest, and they all seem to have this sort of very consistent neck upper yoke shaping. And I thought, that's really interesting. And then for some reason I thought, let me just look through my patterns. Well, my patterns did have exactly the basic start, what I wanted. So what I want to do basically is, this is the Hamilton sweater. So this is more than I want, and I wanted to have, because this is stiffer, I wanted to have like a mock neck, and then I want it to go into a sleek shoulder. And this is a raglan shoulder with really sleek half twisted ribbing motifs. I'm just wondering, there you can see that on this side. And so it just really fits the shoulder beautifully. So it gives you a really nice shape there. And then basically what I want to do is have tapered sleeves and a really boxy body that probably is a very high split hem, probably with a rounded hem in the front and a lower rounded hem in the back. And maybe even slightly tunic length, basically as your walking, hiking, winter outdoor sweater. So this one is called the Hamilton sweater. This one, Hamilton is the city, the main sort of financial city in Bermuda. This is, in my mind, a very sort of chic, urban. It's got bell sleeves. That was a design I was interested in before. Definitely don't want to do that this time, but it's cool. It looks great. And I just want to do a riff on it with it sort of that's similar but different. Oops, tipped over. So that's what I'm going to do. So Hamilton, like I said, is the urban center for Bermuda. The other city in Bermuda is St. George's, or St. George, and that's at the east end of the island, which is called down the island, or down the country, where Hamilton is called up the country. I mean, Somerset is really up the country, but anyways. So my thought was, maybe I'll call this the St. George's sweater, because St. George's is a bit more, it's very historic. It's where the first settlers landed and created the city, their homes. Beautiful, really historic, dates back to the 1600s, the early 1600s. Little Bermuda cottages, some grander, bigger houses, of course, too, in the city. Teeny streets, barely fit some small cars. Really amazing, but it's a bit more casual. It's a bit more sort of country. So I was thinking that this would be the St. George's sweater, which is a bit more rustic. The other was knit out of dropsair, which is kind of sleek and sort of, you know, drapey and chic. And this is a bit more rustic and a bit more hardy, just like, you know, St. George's. Kind of not so much, but, you know, more historic yarn, more historic wool, more historic sheep. Just kind of interesting. I was just thinking, so it'd be almost, I was going to call it like the Hamilton 2.0. Here I am getting really ahead of myself, and I've just done like the mock neck and a bit of shoulder shaping. But you start to sort of fantasize, like, where am I going with this? And what does it feel like? And I don't want this just to be like the Hamilton 2.0. It's kind of Hamilton, but it's quite revised. So it's going to be the St. George's, or the St. George. And yeah, so I'm really loving it. This yarn is really lovely. Can you see the squish? It's not that prickly, and Priscilla was told that when it blocks, it gets really soft, and I totally believe that, and it really blooms. Completely will believe that. I didn't block my little swatch just because I want to have a lot of yarn, and I'm comfortable where it's going to go in blocking. Yeah. Anyways, so knitting this up, just cast this on. There was no plan to cast this on, but I was super inspired. And not very often when yarn comes to the door do I have an idea for it that quickly, but I sure did with this one. And thank you so much, Priscilla. And thank you to her husband, Alex, who brought it when he comes back and forth to Bermuda quite often for work. And so I got a little note saying, go to the Princess Hotel in town. There's a package for you. And yay, what a fun package. So I'm knitting away on this. This is really great. Really great. So thank you. And we'll see how that goes. And if it does develop, like I have it visualized in my head, and if it does because of the St. George's sweater, or if it stays the Hamilton, we'll see. Stay tuned. Also in the little package, Priscilla sent me this really fun Scapia's Glow Up yarn. This looks like a fingering weight yarn, and it's really neat because I think in black light it will glow in the dark, and I think so cool, especially this time of year. I can totally picture some sweater, hat, mittens or something like that, or a little sweater for a little one that has ghosts or something that can glow with backlight. So I'm hoping to get really creative and use that. Really fun, very cool. And also on the ghost theme, Priscilla loves stitch markers, and I do too, I'll be totally honest, but she's got a real eye to find really cool, really pretty stitch markers. And she sent me these. Aren't they adorable? They're little ceramic ghosts. They look like, they just look so precious. I was going to say they look like they might also glow in the dark with backlight, black light too. They might, but They're adorable. So really great. I've kept them on this little package so that I can show you all together. And now I can put it on a project. I'm excited. So that's everything I've been working on. I almost put everything away, but I realized that I totally forgot to talk about this. And I thought, oh, do I just skip it? And I'm like, no, this sweater is sitting in here the whole time and people are going to have questions and I'd really like to show it. So anyways, hopefully I can slip this little segment in somewhere in the episode that seems cohesive and makes sense. Anyways, this is my Miamba sweater. I knit this. No, where did I put my paper? Anyways, I knit this and I talked about it at length in the last episode. But since I saw you, I added some stitch work, some needlepoint to this area here. And I think it is really pretty. I am very much a novice, very, very, very much a novice. I used a template that I had bought in Ontario when I bought the yarn that I'll either have talked about or will talk about. And pinned the template on, did the embroidery as best I could using embroidery floss that I had. And then you soak this all again and the embroidery, the template dissolves and then dried it out. And I think it's really great. I really like it. It's not done beautifully. I can definitely improve 100%. But I really do love it. And I think it's cool there because it holds the turtleneck down in place without it moving while I'm moving. And I'm really excited about that. I originally had thought I'd do something along the back, you know, this section of the back, but that's a big undertaking for my first real try at it. And I thought this was actually really perfect. And I like it. It's like a little bit of a jewelry. I don't know if you ever watched the podcast. It's a Sarah. She's a lovely Dutch crafter. She loves crochet and she knits too from the Netherlands. She does a lot of this sort of stuff and she calls it a woolly tattoo, and I love that. It's totally a woolly tattoo, and I'll kind of sort of see it here as a little bit of jewelry. So that's great. This pattern here is called the Miamba pattern. It's basically a pattern. I'll talk a lot more about it in the last episode, but basically it's a do everything pattern. It has multiple collar options, multiple sleeve options, multiple hem options, multiple length options, you name it. It's just basically a pattern. It's not a recipe, it's a pattern for all these options for you to do with a very large gauge. It's a 12 stitch gauge. And I encourage you, what I've done before is just use up scraps that I have. So I've used up some Bien Aimee Kumo and Alex or Felix. Again, it's listed below to kind of create a fabric here that I think is just dreamy and lovely and very flowy. And I think I'm going to be taking this to Rhinebeck for if it gets to be hot. And then I used some Suri scraps from Qing Fibers for the collar and the hem. I originally was going to do sleeves, but I think I'm actually getting a lot more wear out of it with it, like a vest. And yeah, so that is embroidery on knitting, and I'm here for it. And I really am excited to do more of that. So anyways. And then what is coming up and what to talk about? Right. So the Stephen West musicale, it's coming on Thursday, the first clue. I'm so excited. I'm a little bit anxious because I've got a lot of design stuff happening and it's never a good time of year. I'll be totally honest. October, November. Well, it's supposed to be just October, but let's be real. October, November, maybe December, January. Those are kind of prime knitting and working months for me. I'm not a designer that really designs too much in the future. I know I should be. I don't. It is what it is. So it's a bit much, but at the same time, it's so much fun, and I can't not join this this year. So, but I'm trying to tell myself not to put pressure on. I'll knit it when I can, and I don't need to keep on time with it or keep it on track. But these are the colors I'm using. I've shown these to you before. I think they're spectacular, and I can't wait. I've also got a little bit of a mohair dare too. So these yarns I bought when I was dropping my kid off to school in Southern Ontario. I dropped him off at Waterloo, and close to Waterloo is St. Thomas, about an hour and a bit away, car drive, and we love car drives. So went to St. Thomas and went to the Little Red Mitten, which I've never been to before. Great store. Totally recommend it. And I bought these 3 there. And it was really neat because the lady who rung me up and happened to be the dyer behind these 2. So she was the dyer behind Firefly Haven Fibers. And ironically, this one is called Olives on the Side. Oliver is my son, which we were dropping off, so he was left on the side. And this one is called Pop Rocks, and I just love them. They're great. I also picked up Full Moon Fibers, which I also believe is a Canadian brand, at Little Red Mitten, and this is called Why Didn't You Coral Me Back? So those are great. And then in Waterloo, the city itself, really close to our Airbnb, that I had actually walked by this store before but hadn't noticed it, the yarn in it. I think I was across the street, so I hadn't really noticed it. But it was another amazing yarn store called Flying Squirrel, and I bought this, which is a Coats & Co. cottage sock color pistachio. And when I put them in the suitcase, I thought, oh my gosh, those are so great together. And then from Stash, I have a little bit of Chelsea Lux mohair, so I'm excited. So Thursday, hope I have power Thursday so I can cast that on. I need to wind those balls or wind those into cakes. I don't have an electric winder, so it's not like a power thing, but it's more of a, my office gets really dark if there's no power and the blinds are closed, so I should do that now so that I'm all ready and in hopes that I can print the pattern on Thursday. So that's exciting. Yeah, so Rhinebeck is coming up. I'm really excited to go to that. It's coming very quickly. I've just spent a little time this morning looking at the vendor lists for the different exhibitions. It looks amazing. If you're going to Rhinebeck, I hope to see you. I will have one more podcast before that, but I am starting to get excited about the trip and everything like that. Trying to plan what I'm going to pack and what I'm going to save room for, and how, if I buy that spinning wheel, how am I going to bring it back? Problem is for when I get there. But with Rhinebeck, one of the precursor events called a Woolen Affair, a friend and a wonderful yarn dyer named, her name is Sophie, but her yarn company is called Botanical Yarns, sorry. She will be vending at a Woolen Affair, and I'm really excited because on the Wednesday before, so the 15th of October, I will be publishing my pattern called Botanical Comfort, which was name suggested by a beautiful viewer. Thank you so much. I'll be sending you the pattern when it publishes. Anyways, great name. So that pattern will publish on Wednesday, so that if you're going to a Woolen Affair and you're so inspired, do check out Sophie, because that's where the yarn's from, and her yarn is gorgeous. I can completely attest to that, and I'll probably be wearing the sweater on that day too. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to wearing a sweater. So that is a Woolen Affair. That's the Friday, the 17th, if I'm not mistaken. And I will be sending more information out about that sweater closer to the date. So stay tuned for that. So it'll be on Instagram, and we'll talk about it in the episode before, but I just wanted to get the excitement going a little bit. And then we'll just have another quick chat about hurricanes in Bermuda, because why am I sitting with all this stuff around? We get hurricanes, we get them every year. Sometimes we get 2 or 3 or 4 in a year. We've had one year that we had 2 in 1 week. And this year we're having maybe 2 in 2 days. But this year, the first one, Humberto, is basically past us now. It wasn't very bad, and it wasn't very close in the end. So that's great. It was wet, and so this is why we brought everything in yesterday, because we knew that Humberto was going to be a very wet hurricane, and I didn't want to bring everything in with all the cushions and the outdoor furniture when they're wet and mucky. So that's in now, and then now we're just waiting for Hurricane Imelda, and that looks like it will either be a direct hit at a hurricane category 1 or 2, so not bad, or it could fizzle out. So we don't really know, but we'll keep everything inside until that passes. Bermuda homes, I thank everyone for all of their lovely wishes. I posted a fun reel about having everything closed up and all the porches cleared off and everything put outside. Well, everything from outside that'll blow around brought inside and everything like that. So on Instagram, check that out. It's really funny. Not funny. It's fun. It's in light humor. We did that yesterday. And thank you for all your well wishes on hurricanes and stuff like that. Bermuda is really well prepared for hurricanes. Bermuda was found in a hurricane. Hurricanes blew sailors onto the island. Shakespeare's The Tempest is about Bermuda. So hurricanes and Bermuda go hand in hand, I think. Very synonymous. We have very high standards for building here. That are mandatory. And so all our houses and buildings are made out of either Bermuda stone, usually if they're older. So local to quarried stone, which is limestone. It's very sandy, very porous limestone, or more modern concrete block. There's even a new, more modern method, which is using foam blocks and then pouring concrete to secure it. Having some problem with water with those, but whatever. Basically, our buildings are designed for hurricanes. There's nothing to worry about. It's the only sort of concerns and the tragedies happen with people playing around outside during a hurricane. So assuming that people are in their house, they've done a tiny bit of preparation, and the preparation is more just to prevent damage and loss of property or personal objects, whatever. We're totally fine. Bermuda is such that it's not something that we can evacuate Bermuda, so we've always had to build so that we can be sustained during hurricanes. When we first bought our house in 2002, one of the strongest hurricanes to ever hit Bermuda, called Fabian, came through. We had literally moved into the house 2 days before, and we hadn't owned the house for very long. We had owned it from the spring, I should say, but we had the tenants had their lease run out, and so then we moved in at the end of August, and then had Fabian. The house, when we bought it, was old and not in the best nick, so we had some dodgy windows and no blinds, no shutters, and that was pretty bloody terrifying because it was a Category 4 hurricane and it directly went over Bermuda, and it was slow moving and sat over us for a long time. We had some structural damage. A bit of the roof came off, but our roofs are built for that. Our roofs are sort of sat on top of the house, and they're made out of another sort of stone material as well that's made out of slate. And so the roofs, the corners, they can give and they can wobble, and that's the whole point of pressure with the construction. So that, again, was just an inconvenience of getting some more roof slate after a hurricane that's usually pretty scarce. So yeah, so hurricanes in Bermuda are not really to be worried about. It's almost more of an inconvenience, but at the same time, they're also kind of fun because it's like a snow day. You get off of school, you get off of work, you hunker down, you clean it all up. The kids are in school today officially, but I think they're going to get called out tomorrow. Yeah, and then it's like a hurricane party, whether it's during the hurricane. When I was single and young, we used to go to someone who had a better house or a house sit and hang out and have a really fun time. And it was, hours and hours. It could have been a party that was a couple days. Then now we have guests over after, because if we're all out of power, then you go to someone's house, bring your meat that's in your freezer, and you cook it on the barbecue and you have fun. So hurricanes can be kind of scary, but kind of a lot of fun too. So it's kind of a community thing. So nothing really to worry about there. I have got some plans more for the podcast and talking about Bermuda and Bermuda culture and stuff like that. I would love to. A good friend of mine is a traditionally trained stonemason, and he lives just down the street. He's amazing. Beside his house, he's actually got a little quarry that he works with, and he built his house by hand, and I think he's doing more stuff. He's done a lot of work on historical buildings in Bermuda, like Carter House, which is the oldest home in Bermuda, still standing. I think dates back to very early 1600s. He's really interesting and a wealth of knowledge, and yeah, and I thought that would be really fun to have a chat with him. He's really passionate about it. Really cool guy. I also have a fun thing planned that hopefully will happen for the Halloween at the end of the October. I've got a friend who is a historian, a local historian, and he is interested in old ghost stories. So stay tuned for that. I hope it works out. I'm going to meet with him soon to chat and record. So hopefully we'll have a little Bermuda ghost story for you at the end of October. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But I'm excited. He's a neat guy. His family's been on the island since the very beginning, and hopefully he'll talk about that too. So yeah, so a little bit more about Bermuda coming up. I am going to drink my tea that I made to edit the last recording. It's a bit cool, but that's okay. And I will hunker down, edit this, and hopefully get this up to you on time this week. And in case we lose power and you want to see more about what it's like to be in a hurricane, when we do go out to walk and whatever the dog, I will hopefully try to put more on Instagram because it's really magical. It's just whipped up and it's really magical. So I won't be able to put it on this episode because I'm going to hopefully get this uploaded tonight before anything really dramatic happens tomorrow. And but maybe there'll be more on Instagram. So check out my Instagram. All that information is written below in the description box, and as well as all the yarns and patterns and everything else that I've talked about. So it says that it's recording. I can see it's recording there. I'm going to press stop, and hopefully it is still in my computer, and get this all uploaded for you. Happy knitting. Stay cozy. Enjoy our entrance into fall if you're in this side of the world, and entrance into summer if you're down under. And happy knitting. See you in 2 weeks. Okay, bye.